Okay, I'm gonna start our first lesson with a pop quiz. What do a 38A, 36B, 34C, and 32D have in common? Think you know the answer? Stay tuned and find out. I'm Laura, and this is Bravolution. I'm a nice teacher, so I'm going to give you a hint. What do a 38A, 36B, 34C, and 32D have in common? The answer is they're all the same size. All the same breast size. The only difference is how big the band is to go around the rib cage. So let that sink in for a minute. Everything you've ever been told about bra sizing, that A cups are always small and always this size, and that D cups are always big and always this size, is actually untrue. Some A cups are smaller than D cups, some A cups are the same size as D cups, and some A cups are larger than D cups. It all depends on where your size falls in the sister sizing chart. So I realize this may be more shocking than the red wedding, hashtag Game of Thrones. If you need to grab a seat and a glass of water, I totally understand. You're not alone in being shocked. Most women have no idea that this is how bras are sized. In fact, manufacturers make the same fronts with the same cups over and over and over again, switch out the bands, switch out the tags, and sell them. They're all exactly the same in the front. I've created some tools for you and I've put them in the bra ID section. The first is the sister sizing chart. All of the bras that are the same color in the diagonal are all the same breast size, all the same breast volume. The only difference is how long or short the underband is. If you read the chart vertically from top to bottom, the underband length stays the same, but the breast volume increases. This is the only part of the chart that actually makes some logical sense when you look at it. And if you read the chart horizontally from left to right, both the band size and the cup volume go up. So even though these all say A, they're all different cup volume. And by the way, this is why our reviews are based on breast volume, because telling me you're an A cup or a D cup tells me nothing about how big your breasts actually are. Want to see what else you don't know about bras? Stay tuned for the next lesson. So you have a bunch of bras in the dressing room and you're trying to figure out which one has the best underband fit. First, let's cover how an underband works. An underband is like the foundation of a house. It offers support and stability, so it needs to be tight and sturdy. It's made up of two parts, the cradle in the front of the bra and the wings in the back of the bra. How do you know if an underband is too big or too small? Well, when an underband is too big, it tells you it's unhappy with a frown. If your bra is riding up like this in the back, it's too big. When an underband is too small, it starts to pinch the tissue around your spine and you'll see a lot of your flesh coming out around the bra. A great fitting underband is straight in the back and doesn't dig in too much. So if it's straight, it's great. Underbands fit differently on everyday bras than they do on sports bras. On everyday bras, they can fit a little bit looser and they should pull out about an inch. In sports bras, for high support, you really don't want to be able to pull out the bra more than half an inch. A lot of sports bras are designed to be pulled over your head, but for high impact, I recommend a bra that has a front or a back closure. That's because those are the only kinds of bras with underbands sturdy enough that will only pull out about half an inch. For bras that go over your head, the underband needs to stretch enough to fit over your shoulders, which means that it needs to have a relatively stretchy underband. So by the time it's on you, it is going to pull out more than half an inch. For bras with a back closure, some fitters will say fit on the loosest hook, some will say fit on the middle. I prefer to fit on the loosest hook. Also, the wider the underband is, the more supportive it is. Again, think about a house foundation. Would you rather build on a 6-inch foundation or a 6-foot foundation? Now let's address the pesky issue of back fat. Back fat is caused when areas of your wings stretch at different rates. So for example, if the elastic up here is super stretchy but the fabric here is not as stretchy, you're going to start looking like the string on last Sunday's pot roast. You can avoid back fat by looking for bras with wings that have elastics and fabrics that stretch at about the same rate. Also, the wider the wing, the less likely you are to have back fat above or below the wing. If you have a bra where the straps are constantly falling off your shoulders, this video is for you. Because believe it or not, the shape of your shoulders is just as important to your bra fit as the shape of your breasts. Surprised? Let's learn more. Your shoulder shape is especially important in the fit of your sports bra, and you need to choose shoulder strap styles based on the type of activity that you're doing. A runner can more easily wear straight straps than, say, a tennis player. There are two key things to look for when you're trying to identify your shoulder shape. The first is the width, which is either average, narrow, or wide. And the second is the angle, which is either straight or sloping. If you do have sloping and/or narrow shoulders, it's going to be more difficult for you to wear a bra with straight straps, although there are some straight strap designs where the straps are designed to be closer to the neck. How do you know if you can wear that bra with straight straps? Well, if you fasten it on the loosest hook and it looks like the straps are pretty near falling off your shoulders, that's not a good bra style for you. If that's your situation, look for bras that have some type of a racer back. There are lots of different racer back styles, but any style that somehow joins in the back is probably going to be a better fit for you. Here are some examples. This model has straight shoulders but they're narrow, and this model has sloping shoulders but they're wide. As you can see, the model with the sloping wide shoulders can still wear straight straps, because when the bra is fit on the loosest hook, there's still plenty of room between the straps and the end of her shoulders. However, the model with the straight narrow shoulders has more difficulty wearing straight straps. This brings me to another point. For racer back styles, pay attention to how high up on the neck the straps are falling. Some women have wider necks than others. If the straps are falling too high up on the fleshy part of your neck, it could cause pain and discomfort, especially if you've ever had any kind of neck injury or upper back injury. Here's an example of straps that are falling too high on this particular model's neck. Nor do you want the straps uncomfortably rubbing or digging into the shoulder blades, especially if you're going to be doing activities where your arms are moving a lot. Now let's talk about the fit of your straps. For high impact activities, your straps need to be tight, much like your underband. You should be able to get a finger underneath, but you shouldn't be able to slide that finger up and down the strap. Alrighty, now that you know about underbands and straps, what comes next? Why, cups, of course. First, let's cover the different types of cups. Cups are either sewn fabric, molded fabric, sewn foam, or molded foam. If you put the bra on a table and the cups stand up on their own, that's probably sewn foam or molded foam. Foam cups offer a more pleasing shape, but there are some downsides in a sports bra. The first is that foam absorbs sweat and doesn't dry as quickly as just fabric alone. And the second is that if the shape of your breast doesn't match the shape of the foam cup, your breast could move around inside the cup. For sports bras, the cups fall into three main categories: compression, encapsulation, or a combination of the two. Compression smushes down your boobs. It's like Spanx for your boobs, and it does cause the dreaded uniboob. Encapsulation looks like your regular everyday bra with two separate cups. And the combination usually has a slightly shaped cup because it combines both encapsulation and compression. Smaller busted women can get great support with a compression-only bra. But for larger busts, typically a combination of compression and encapsulation is better. Now let's cover how to know if a cup is too big or too small. A cup is too small if you see any or a combination of the following: cleavage, breast tissue coming out anywhere around the cup, breast tissue spilling out at the underarm, it has a very tight feeling, and a phenomena called double busting, which looks like an M on the neckline. You'll know a cup is too big if you see wrinkling, dimpling, a neckline coming away from the chest, or gapping at the underarm. And remember, for high-impact activities, you don't want to see any cleavage. If you do, it means the cups are too small, or the center front of this particular bra design is too low. Another thing you want to look for is called east-westing. That's when your breasts point left and right, rather than being pulled up and in, which is a sign of better support. Also, look at yourself from the side and make sure that your breasts are pointing straight and not downward. And finally, know that the pointier and longer your cups are, the more likely you are to experience excessive movement. If you're curious about how much volume is in your cup, check out our chart in the bra ID section. Okay, let's start with what an underwire is. An underwire is a length of coated carbonized steel that uses tension to contain and shape the breast root. I realize that was a mouthful, so let's go through it step by step. A length of carbonized coated steel. All that really means is that an underwire isn't really a wire. It's a thin piece of steel that's coated to keep it from rusting. And it can be shorter, longer, thinner, thicker, flatter, rounder. It all depends on the type of bra it's designed for and who the manufacturer is. That uses tension. I'm going to start with an analogy. Think about a ponytail holder. It only works if it's wrapped around several times and the elastic is under tension. Underwires work in a similar way. Underwires are pulled by this part of the bra, which is called the wing, and when they're pulled, they're under tension. And what that does is it shapes the base of the breast into a rounder, neater shape to go into the cup. And since the wings are holding those pieces of metal very tightly against your body, it forms a very sturdy foundation for the rest of the bra. And finally, contains and shapes the breast root. You might not know what a breast root is. The breast root is the shape of your breast where your breast attaches to the chest wall. And the underwire is meant to fall right in this area. If it doesn't, the underwire is not fitting you. So if it's either going into your breast tissue or falling noticeably away from your breast root, it's not the right wire for you. Now let's look at why you might hate wearing underwires. There are generally 3 anatomical reasons why you might dislike underwires. The first is the shape of your breast root. Underwires are designed for a round breast root shape, but not every woman has a round breast root shape. Some have more of a V shape and some have more of a flat shape. And if you fall into those latter 2 categories, you're going to have trouble finding an underwire that fits you well. The second is the amount of space between your breasts. Some women have average spacing, some have wide spacing, and some have very narrow spacing. The breasts are so close together they're practically touching. And if that's you, you might have trouble finding a properly fitting underwire because the underwires will often go into your breast tissue at the center front. And the final reason is if you have a lot of bust tissue going into the underarm. Some women have more than others, and if you have a lot, you'll probably have trouble finding an underwire that doesn't pinch you and poke you in that area. In the next lesson, we'll talk about underwires in sports bras. As we learned in the last lesson, underwires offer support and shaping at the breast root. One misconception is that a sports bra with an underwire is always more supportive than one without. This isn't true for several reasons. First, what's supporting you at the base isn't necessarily supporting you at the apex. Think about a skyscraper during an earthquake. If it has a really sturdy foundation, it's not going to topple over. But the top of the building is still moving quite a bit. So just because a bra has an underwire supporting you at the base doesn't mean that it's stopping any movement at the apex. That depends on the bra's overall design, the fabrics being used, the shape of the cup, and the amount of compression. Second, as I mentioned in the lesson about cups, smaller busted women get great support with compression alone. So that means adding an underwire isn't doing anything additional for you. And finally, underwires can cause excess pain and pressure. As we learned in the lesson about underbands, the underband of a sports bra needs to be a lot tighter than the underband of a regular bra. That means you're going to feel an underwire a lot more in a sports bra than you will in a regular bra. And that could cause pain and chafing. All of that being said, for some women an underwire is a non-negotiable and they wouldn't even consider a sports bra without one. And if that's you, by all means, wear a sports bra with an underwire. To be clear, I'm not saying that sports bra with underwires shouldn't be worn. In fact, some of the best sports bras on the market have underwires. Instead, what I'm saying is just because it has an underwire doesn't mean it's more supportive or the right choice for you. In regular everyday bras, the center front of the bra is typically a triangular piece of fabric called the gore. And the taller the gore is, typically the more supportive the bra is. Most sports bras don't have gores, but this height of the center front rule still applies. So generally, the higher the center front is in the sports bra, the more supportive it is. If you happen to have one of the few sports bras that does have a gore, just know that the gore fits differently in a sports bra than it does in a regular bra. In a regular bra, the gore needs to sit right up against the sternum. There shouldn't be any space at all. If there is, that means the bra doesn't fit you. If it doesn't sit right up against the sternum, that means the cups are too small, or the center front height in this particular bra style isn't a good match for the amount of space between your breasts. If you happen to have a sports bra that does have a gore, just know that it's really unlikely that the gore is going to sit up against your sternum. And the reason is because of this height of the center front rule. Gores and sports bras are typically very tall, much taller than they are in regular bras. And it's really unlikely that a tall gore will fit every woman for the entire length of the space between her breasts. So you need to look for the fit in other ways. Look to see if the cups are fitting and if the underband is fitting, and that will give you some more clues about whether or not it's a good fit. And remember, for high impact activities, no cleavage. If you can see cleavage, either the cups are too small or the center front height of this particular bra design is not high enough. And that's pretty much everything you need to know about Gores. So now that you've had your hashtag mind blown by sister sizing, how do you know which size you actually are? That's what we're going to talk about in this lesson. So I'm going to start this lesson with some news you don't want to hear. That is that there is no foolproof method or formula or app that is going to tell you your bra size. There are some methods that will get you in the ballpark, but there is no precise way of knowing with a measuring tape alone. There are some that will get you close, but nothing is precise. Bra sizing is more art than science. And the reason for that is that your underband is where most of your support comes from, and it does not secure itself to your skin. It secures itself to your rib cage. And your rib cage stays the same size whether you gain or lose weight. So that means if you're a smaller size, you can add some inches to your rib cage measurement to get the right band size. But if you're a larger size, you don't add any inches at all. And this is so nuanced that you really should get fit by a professional fitter, especially if you're a larger size. Places I recommend for fitting are Nordstrom, Title IX, and independent bra boutiques. The first two methods only work if you're a size extra small to a size medium in a tight-fitting athletic top, and if you're relatively small busted. If you fall outside of that, hang on, I'll talk about that a little bit later. If you fall between an extra small and a size medium, there are two ways that you can get your band size. The first is easy peasy. You just find your size in the chart, and your band size will be one of the two numbers that it shows. The second is to use a method I call ballpark bra sizing, because it rarely gives you your exact size, but it does get you in the ballpark. And this is the method that women are actually most familiar with, but most women are under the mistaken impression that it gives them their actual size, which it doesn't. But here's how it works. First, make sure you're wearing an everyday bra that's unlined, unpadded, and does not compress your breasts. Then take a measuring tape and wrap it right underneath the bra very tightly. It should be as tight as your underband. And write down that number. If that number is between a whole number and 3/4 of an inch, round down. If that number is even, add 4, or if that number is odd, add 5. This, according to ballpark bra sizing, is your band size. Then take the tape measure and loosely measure around the fullest part of the bust. It should be loose enough that the tape doesn't fall down, but not so tight that you cause any indentation in the skin. And then write down that number. Now subtract your ballpark band size from your ballpark bust measurement and write down that number. Find it in the chart below. That should be your cup size. And then the final step is to find that size on the sister sizing chart and draw a baseball diamond around it. These are all of the sizes that you should bring to the dressing room in order to start to determine what your bra size actually is. Now, if you don't fall into the extra small to size medium category, I'm going to again reiterate the importance of getting a professional fitting. But if you can't do that, I am going to recommend this calculator, which does a good job of getting you into the ballpark if you are a larger band size or bust size. Thanks for watching. Click here for more tips and tricks about bras and bra fitting.